Hey everybody, so today I want to talk about the NHL standings because they seem really tight this year. Now, the NHL standings are always tight. That's the way this league works, and it's one of the best things about the NHL. But they seem particularly close this year. I'm not sure if that's just me or if statistically they are closer this season, but I'm going to go division by division and show you guys just how tight these playoff races and division races really are. Because quite honestly, we're more than halfway through the NHL season, and with the exception of a few teams at the top and a few teams at the bottom, we really have no idea who's going to make the playoffs or not, because there is still a lot of position throughout the league very much up for grabs. Now, before we start, I just want to quickly remind everyone to please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It greatly helps out the channel and is very much appreciated. So I'm going to start in the Pacific Division because I think the Pacific Division is the absolute craziest of them all right now. When we look at the Pacific, there are 5 teams right on top of each other, all within 4 points at the top of this division. And who out of this group is going to make the playoffs and who isn't, we have absolutely no idea at this point. Now, the bottom of the Pacific, I think, is pretty much set. It's going to be the 3 California teams, and all of them are out of playoff contention at this point. San Jose is 9 points back of a playoff spot with 44. Los Angeles is even further back at 40 points, and Anaheim is in last place at 39. Those 3 teams, I think, are out of it. Certainly, San Jose would be the only one that could maybe crawl back into things, but with this Logan Couture injury, I think they're done. However, the top 5 teams in that division, Arizona, Vegas, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver, we have no idea what order those teams are going to finish in. They could literally, a good week or a bad week for any of those teams can drastically change these standings. Arizona is in first place right now with 54 points. Vegas is in second place, also with 54 points, but 1 more game played. Edmonton is in third right now with 53 points, and Calgary is in fourth, also with 53 points, but losing the tiebreaker. And Vancouver is only 3 points back of a playoff spot with 2 less games played than the Oilers and the Flames, with 50 points through 44 games, currently outside the playoff picture. But those 5 teams, you have 54 points leading the division. You have 50 points being out of the playoffs altogether. This is nuts. It's wild, and it's not the only division like that. This is the closest. The Pacific is definitely the tightest at the top right now. But we move on here to the Central, and in the Central Division now, Chicago, I think at this point is pretty much out of it with 44 points. But the rest of those 6 teams are all still in playoff contention. You've got St. Louis at the top, kind of running away with it. They've got a 7-point lead over Dallas at the top of the division standing. So I think St. Louis is pretty much set at the top. But then you have Dallas at 56 points in second. You have Colorado with 54 points in third. You've got Winnipeg at 52 points in fourth. You have Nashville at 47 in fifth. And Minnesota still hanging around with 46 points. In 6th place. So, you've got 6 out of those 7 teams still in playoff contention. You've got 4 of them in a playoff spot right now. You've got Nashville trying to get into a playoff spot. Minnesota still trying to get into a playoff spot. And as far as who's going to finish in what position in those standings, with the exception of Chicago is probably going to finish last, and St. Louis is probably going to finish first. The rest of those spots, 2 through 6, are completely up for grabs. Colorado could easily move up ahead of Dallas. Winnipeg could probably, if they go on a win streak, could move ahead of Colorado and Dallas. Winnipeg could also end up dropping behind Nashville if they go on a losing streak. Colorado right now could go in either direction. I mean, it's so tight. It is so tight, and we're getting, past the halfway point in the season here. It's normal for I guess this is kind of normal for the NHL, and it's like this every year, but I don't know, something just makes it feel closer than normal this year. Or maybe it's just me being really excited about all these playoff races going on, but It's been nuts. And now we head over to the East. Let's take a look at the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division right now, at the top at least, is very similar to the Central Division. Boston's at 63 points in first place. They've got a 7-point lead over second place Tampa Bay. It looks like Boston is probably going to win that division, so we'll put Boston at the top. Ottawa and Detroit are out of it at the bottom. Detroit's the worst team in the league with only 25 points so far. Ottawa has 37. They're out of it as well. However, again, 2 through 6 still in playoff contention. Montreal at 43 points is trying to hang around, although they've been playing very, very bad recently. Buffalo's in 5th at 45 points. Florida in 4th place is only 1 point out of a playoff spot at 51 points. Toronto's at 54 in a playoff spot, and Tampa Bay obviously is in 2nd at 56. So again, Toronto, Tampa Bay, they could certainly drop if they go on losing streaks. Florida is a team that could certainly catch either of those teams if they were to go on a win streak. Buffalo still hanging around, although I don't think Buffalo makes the playoffs, and I don't think Montreal certainly is going to. But they're still technically kind of in it at 43 points. So really, when you look at it, the Atlantic Division, which is probably the least crushed right now, although, Metro as well. The Western Conference is very crushed. Atlantic's pretty crushed as well. Tampa, Toronto, Florida, somewhat Buffalo, all still very much alive in that division. Moving on to the Metro. The Metro, I think, overall is the best division in the NHL. And you've got Washington at the top with 65 points, and I don't think anyone is catching Washington in that division. They're pretty much set up there. You've got New Jersey at the bottom with 37 points. I think New Jersey's season's over. They're done. However, the rest of that division still in playoff contention. You've got the New York Islanders in 2nd with 57 points. You've got Pittsburgh in 3rd with 57 points, but one more game played. You've got Carolina and Philadelphia in the 2 wildcard spots at 52 points. Columbus is right behind them at 50. And the New York Rangers are still hanging around at 46 points. With games in hand on many of the other teams in that division. So, that division's crushed too. I mean, it's just you look throughout this league and the standings are so compact that a 4 or 5 game losing streak can drop a team from first or second in a division down all the way to maybe even out of a playoff spot or a wild card spot. And a 4 or 5 game winning streak could move you up from wild card team or possibly even from just outside the playoffs all the way into 2nd, 3rd, maybe even 1st in the division, depending on what division you're in. It's always like this in the NHL. It's one of the best things about the NHL is that realistically, we're looking at how many teams are actually out of it. We're more than halfway through the season at this point, and I see 3 teams in the East and 4 teams in the West that are out of it. So you're looking at 7 teams out of a 31-team league are out of playoff contention. What that leaves 24 teams still fighting for a playoff spot in the NHL right now. Only 16 get in, which means there's going to be some very disappointed teams at the end of the season. But man, no other league is like this where so many teams are still in it this late into the season. And I think it's one of the best things about the NHL. And I know that it's always like this, but this year feels for some reason maybe even a little bit closer than normal. Certainly the Pacific Division right now is the closest and absolutely wild to have 5 teams all within 4 points of first place right now. 4 teams within 1 point of each other. Arizona, Vegas, Edmonton, and Calgary, 2 at 54, 2 at 53. I mean, that's nuts. The Central's really close as well. It's awesome. And I just want to point that out, just how tight the standings are this year and how quickly things can change. A team can go up or down with a bad 2 weeks or a good 2 weeks. And they can make a significant move in the standings. So With that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.